That's a good intro face.
Yeah, we killed that.
What's up, everybody?
We are live.
Okay, today we're going to be breaking down what it really takes to push through bottlenecks, face hard truths, and keep stacking chips, even when it feels like you're risking everything to do it. So I've got some information about this. I built a 7-month battle plan, if you will, like a business plan with my coaches. We talked about this last time. Mm-hmm. So I kind of boiled down specific bottlenecks and issues, which makes it real easy at that point to go, all right, well, what's the order that you should be, working on these in, and then exactly what to do. So we can get into that. However, if we're still doing this thing, green or black, green or black, green or black?
Black.
You're black. Okay. Maybe this is a thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe we sound like idiots. Maybe we have to stop doing this at some point. But I got to say, it's getting difficult.
It is.
It's getting difficult. All right. You're black?
Yep.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
Marshmallows.
Moonbase.
AI girlfriends.
Dolphin assassins.
Crop circles.
Waffle House.
NASCAR riots.
Smells like Teen Spirit.
Elon's clone.
Crypto Jesus.
Sneaky links.
Flat tax.
Adult diapers.
The Bermuda Pentagon.
Watergate.
Water beds.
Hydroponic lettuce.
Reverse aging.
Reverse mortgages.
Bald eagles.
Bald lies.
This is
Brothers McGowan.
That's funny.
That gets tough, man.
Those are good. Those are great. They actually get me fired up. Gets me loose too.
All right, let's dig into this. So I had, when we did the last podcast, I had just come off of an elite mastermind with PBD, and I had another elite mastermind with Tom Ellsworth on that Monday. Ooh, malfunctions in the office. So I put together. I knew that they were going to be close together, and at first I'm like, gosh, how do I process information with these two high-level guys in such a short time period? Because usually they're both specific. They both have actionable tasks and things I need to work on, and it's kind of like too much. However, what's going on with that thing?
I just gotta tuck this up real quick. You're good. You can keep going.
You need to choke that cord back a little bit. It's pulling it out right here. Pull that in. Yeah. Get some slack. Get some slack in there. Anyway, so what am I getting at? I utilized both of them. Pat has a different way of looking at things, and Tom is more analytical, and he's the guy to go to when it's like, exactly what do I need to do, in what order, sequencing, all that stuff. So I was inspired to go, man, why don't I have a business plan? It's easy to say, here's the plan for this year. Let's make more money, right?
Yep.
And the book that I had read that past month with them, I think we talked about it. It pointed out, like, revenue is not an actionable item. It's not specific enough. It's not a good goal. Yeah. And then there was a Connect that I had with PBD. He had sent a video about, letting us know he has a business plan every year. He laminates it. He takes it with him everywhere, reads it all the time. Mm-hmm. So I sent him a message. I'm like, what is that? And how do you make that? Blah, blah, blah. So I used all the information that he gave me to kind of isolate bottlenecks. So my business plan went from, I'm doing this coaching to figure out how to scale and make more money, down to, what do I need to do first, offense or defense? And the reality is, I'm always growing too fast for the team that I have. And if I want to expand and be the 100 million in revenue company that I want to be, that's the goal. That's what I'm aiming for. I first need to clean up the defense. And the defense is all the in-house stuff and systems. And
I think that was really, you nailed it on the head right there. Because even if it's not literally revenue or clientele, or even if it is, it's definitely your mindset too. And
yeah, the goals were too broad without really breaking down what the problems are. So I actually spent time figuring out what the actual bottlenecks are for me in my business. So it's like diagnose, decide, dominate. So here are my bottlenecks. This is what I figured out. I think I dialed it into 7 or 9. No, I have 8. So there's 8. I'll just tell you what they are, and we can kind of dip into those a little bit, and maybe there's some value in there that applies to everybody. So the bottlenecks are estimating for me. So if we're doing a good job, people are reaching out, hey, we want you to build this. We want you to build that. We have 10 of these, one of those, whatever it is. Estimating is kind of the key to success for me.
Yeah.
If somebody comes to me, we need to decide, is this in our niche? Is this in our lane that we are aiming for? Health, beauty, fitness, whatever. And then that did dial it down a little bit. So I was saying no to certain people. I'm saying no to certain jobs that may not turn into other jobs. I'm saying no to things that are outside of our lane because I really need to focus in on certain things. But I still have an overload. Estimating can take a long time.
Yeah.
Right now, the job board that I have, there's probably, what is today, Saturday? Mm-hmm. I have probably 15 bids due this coming week. And I haven't started on those. I mean, I've started, but they're essentially not started. So estimating is a problem. Estimating is you need to do a good job. You need to make sure that it's profitable. You need to make sure that it's within their budget. Then you have to go and sell the thing to get the job. So that is the money coming in. I can't even keep up with the estimating. I end up going through it too fast, either bidding too high to be safe or shooting myself in the foot by missing certain little key details, little nuances that are beyond just the bulk nuts and bolts of the building, right? Mm-hmm. So that quickly became the number one bottleneck is estimating. I need an estimator. So that's just one. Let me keep going though. And I won't drag out on too many of these, but estimating and then lack of delegation, those are kind of in the same bottleneck for me. Number 2, internal communication and chaos. 3, document control and closeout delays, which is, every company has document control. 4, team accountability and undefined roles. 5, financial visibility and job costing. 6, CEO role clarity and time management. 7, sales system and client nurturing. 8, hiring, culture, and scaling the team. So the business plan is now in steps for me. I still have to refine it quite a bit, but
yeah.
Number 1, what I figured out after thinking about that, I never thought about now is the time to hire an estimator. An estimator is like a really high paid role.
Yeah. And
it has to be very specific. So for me in commercial construction, it's not just, I can't just find a guy that does estimating for houses or, it's very specific, this particular niche we're in. So I thought it was going to take a while. So I ended up going, okay, this has to be step 1, because if I get an estimator who is in line with my vision, understands what I'm doing, understands the clients I have now, the ones we're going after, and how we operate here, the size of the team that we have now, us still kind of being new, relatively new in terms of like expanding. If I can find that person is going to eliminate about 50% of my tasks. I will gain 50% of my time, which goes into these next bottlenecks. So it's like, if I can find that guy or girl, probably guy, but maybe girl, who knows, and they free up my time, now I can redefine the roles of myself and the 2 office admin, because everybody's helping everybody right now. Our roles are not defined. People are doing too many things all at once. Now I can say, okay, I have the 2 girls that work here. They help with bidding and communicating. They help with closeout packages. Everybody's just running around like a chicken with their head cut off. And the minute I get an estimator, I gain 50% of my time back to focus on things like sales, business development. Kate can go back to being my actual assistant. Yeah. Chrissy can be on document control. We can redefine, and we have more time to develop each category. And you can give me your feedback before I keep rambling, because I can go through this whole thing.
Well, I was writing down, I think I missed one because I wanted to touch on a few of them, but I have.
You want me to tell you the 8 really quick again?
Yeah, tell me the one I'm missing. I have estimating, lack of delegation, document control, closeout packages. I know that's out of order. The finances, and then your time, CEO's time. Yes. And then sales system and client nurture, but I believe I'm missing one of them.
Okay, so it was estimating, estimating overload and lack of delegation, internal communication chaos,
That's what it was.
document control and closeout delays, team accountability and undefined roles, financial visibility and job costing, CEO role clarity and time management. 7 is sales system and client nurturing. 8, hiring, culture, and scaling the team.
Yeah. So I think the great problem with, the great thing about those is that a lot of them can be automated, especially with, I know for you, you have so many more going around, but with like the document control and closeout packages, how big is a closeout package? What does that entail? Because I think that's something that you could automate now that you have that new CRM.
Yep.
Because, well, what does that entail?
The problem with that is it's different on in every project. So I'll give you a quick explanation and then tell you where I'm going with this. So it depends if somebody has a bunch of money and they're self-funding, it's a little bit different. The base level of a closeout package would be the job is done. You're going to give them a copy of the stamped set of plans. You're going to give them the job card with all the inspections being signed off, which proves, every discipline was signed off, and ultimately you got the final building signed off, which requires a ton of other various sign-offs along the way. But so it would be stamped set of plans, the inspection card proving sign-off, and then every city has a different system for how you get a certificate of occupancy, but you would get that for them. So those 3 things, then all the paid invoices along the way, and then lien release waivers from me. That would be the base level. When it's bank funded, it's much more difficult. When it's bank funded, you have to get everything I just said has to be notarized, which is a pain in the butt. There's additional stuff that you need. It would be every subcontractor that worked for you needs to also have conditional lien release waivers notarized before they send an invoice. And then after they cash that check or get paid, for every payment, there then needs to be an unconditional lien release waiver and proof of payment notarized. So anytime money transferred anyone's hands, there has to be 2 waivers notarized. And then you have to do warranties from myself and every subcontractor. You also have to get a form of a waiver from vendors. So if we order, rooftop units or framing materials or drywall, whatever you're ordering, you need to get receipts basically from every vendor. And I'm not talking like go to Home Depot, save your receipt. I'm talking an actual letterhead from vendors.
Yeah.
So they have their version of a waiver. Those don't have to be notarized, but basically anytime money ever moved, you have to have documentation for it. And also, if we're providing equipment, which we always are, like a water heater, an air conditioner, an electrical panel, you have to have manuals and warranties from the manufacturer. So there's just a ton of paperwork. So because it's there's so many nuances and variables, and it changes from job to job depending who's paying for it, whether it's self-funded, bank-funded, SBA, whatever. And SBA loans are a pain in the ass on their own because you don't actually go to the SBA to get the loan. Yeah. They're through a bank, and each bank has their own various little different things that they want, and there's no standard document. They all want different documents. So what I decided to do was take the most strenuous pain in the butt closeout package I've ever seen and just make that our standard. So that's what we're working on now.
Yes. And so by you going through that, what it like tells me is that you essentially have every single possibility imaginable in your head already.
Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong, I bet you don't have that written down or mapped out somewhere. I think it's just
I started
in
to.
your head.
So I have started a new Google Doc, and what I did was I reached out to actually Rep'em Group, because they have theirs is even gnarlier than the bank's closeout package. And I said, hey, because it takes a long time to do these things. And if you go and get things notarized and you put one bad number, or you didn't understand how an AIA document worked or how the formulas within it work, there could be $1 off somewhere and you have to redo the whole thing and everybody has to go get things notarized again. So I reached out to them and I said, hey, can you just give me whatever you're looking at for the closeout package that you need from GCs and send that to me because we're going to make that our baseline. So I started writing it down.
So I have a idea for you then. And I know your business has so many more variables than mine. Mine's much more repeatable, but there's still a million small tasks. And if you just keep them in your head, it never goes well. I think there's, no matter how different each job is, I think there's a lot of consistencies in each one that you do.
Yeah.
Regardless of the client or like the industry or the build out and things. And I know you're working on it right now with your CRM. And I know you also have that other project management system. What's it called? Procore.
Yeah.
And I don't know how robust it is for this, but something that I did was I thought of every single like consistent process in Fifth Element.
Yeah.
From onboarding to there is de-onboarding. We don't call it our closeout. We just lost the client, unfortunately, but there's like a de-transition. And then there's like phases of the partnership in the first 30 days, 60, 90. There's different things with every single client that's the exact same. And with you, I think that's the case as well. And I think what you should do is you can put this info on a Google Doc to start. I think at first it's literally a tree of possibilities. It seems like it starts with one thing and it starts branching in every which way.
Yep.
We use a system called Asana, which is it's to keep it simple, checklists.
Yeah.
But incredibly robust. You can assign tasks to people. You can block certain tasks. So for you have a tree of possibilities with option A could turn into like B, C, or D, depending on what happens. Mm-hmm. Well, it's capable of understanding like conditional items, blocking all that. Anyway,
and this is something you make though. You set up.
Yeah, you have 100% control, and we should go through it after the podcast. But I think you would significantly benefit from something like this because without spending too much time on it, you basically can make project templates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where inside of each a project would be like a client.
Right.
Or just a phase of
inside of Asana.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Cloud-based and everybody has access to it.
And it's very robust. So basically, long story short, when we sign a new client, all I do is go into Asana, and even this part can be automated and tied to your CRM. All I do is go in Asana and say, we got a new client, and I'll take Image Studios, for example. Image Studio Santa Monica, it instantly populates the entire lifetime of that client and every single task, subtask, other tasks that might just be optional, like those little spin-off tasks that can kind of branch out. Every single task is dated based on what I know is like a rough timeline, which your timelines are going to be a little bit different.
Various,
which you can build that in. You can build those various
It's still
things.
the same workflow, but yes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of your tasks build off others. Being obvious here, you can't put drywall up if framing's not done, and that's like a very simple example. So all that stuff will be blocked and pre-assigned to teams in your staff or people.
Yeah.
And I think that alone would significantly...
That's called Asana. I need to write that down.
ASANA. Super, super robust and very worth it, especially the price. Massive companies use it. And the great thing about it is other platforms like something like Monday.com or HubSpot, those are amazing too, but they're massive ecosystems. Asana's just the project management side. Yeah. You download it on your phone, computer, all that stuff. But I'll show you how mine works, because the great thing is for you too, I know like in evenings or on weekends you get your team prepped. I don't even communicate with my team on what they need to do,
because they can just go see it. Yeah.
They live and die by Asana. You can put comments, descriptions, attachments. You could put gigabytes or terabytes worth of information in there. So you could have the entire project pre-filled out with goals, milestones. You could have it connected to your client's emails where they don't see any of your internal work. Yeah. But you hit a milestone, they get an email. You hit the milestone of like the closeout package. I know there's a lot of variability there too, but I'm sure there's other things you do, like you probably send a final email thanking them for their business, stuff like that. That could all be automated. It's crazy. But I think you should check that out because that would fix multiple of your problems with lack of delegation. If you have Asana up to speed, that's done. Document control, it's going to help. Close up packages help significantly. CEO time, that will help significantly because one of the things it also does is it tracks how much time you and every single person on your team is spending on each task.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then it'll project it moving forward. So now all of that's done and fixed. I mean, a lot of work there still, but now you're
no, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge because, I mean, yes, every job and bank and whatever does have different documents and guidelines and things that they want. But if I just set the baseline at...
You just build that into it.
Yeah. Well, if I do the most significant version of that and just call that the baseline, even if it's a mom and pop who's got their own money, I can still deliver that to them because the key to me is consistency for my team. So it's like right now everybody knows that each job requires something different. So we're like, figure it out as we go, which is a waste of time. If we just said, here's what we do every time, no matter what, whether they want it or not, and they become efficient at that.
Yes.
That's just the baseline. So that's scalable.
That's what we did. We identified every single consistency across every client and then used the extreme version of like our most extreme client as the baseline. So then when you're going through
this could even
all your projects, it's like, oh, well, if this client isn't that extreme, they don't need these things. Well, we just check it off, move on to the next task. But it prevents you from forgetting anything ever. Like it. And the second we used this, it took so much thoughts out of my brain. I have so much more bandwidth back. Yeah. And the other great thing, well, now I have, this is the other thing it's going to help you with, the accountability with your staff.
Yep.
This isn't just something for your office people, too. This is something everybody out in the field can use on their phones and tablets.
Can you do two separate versions of that? So it's like if a job has...
It's unlimited. I don't know how to explain it to you right now.
Okay,
other than
we'll take a look at it.
It's so unlimited and so easy to use that any single person in your organization.
What's great about that is that I have an interview on Tuesday with a really qualified estimator who's got tons of experience in the exact field. If that goes well, you know what's crazy is when I put this business plan together and realized, okay, step one has to be the estimator, because I realized Tom told me, and I don't remember if I brought this up last time or not, but I should be filtering everything I'm doing through two lenses. Can I and should I? Did I talk about that?
Yeah, we went over that.
And estimating is one of them. It was like, can I? Obviously, that's been me the entire time. Should I? And I'm like, wait a minute. No, I shouldn't. This is something somebody else can do. And not only can somebody else do it, they can do it better than me. I don't like doing it.
Well, you don't get to put 40 hours a week and do it, and you do, and they're 40 hours burning the midnight oil and stuff like that. But someone with 40 focused hours on this is going to get much better than you at it inside of a couple months.
On paper is already significantly better at it than me.
Yep.
That's all he's been doing. So
and you can build into your process when he's done. You're obviously going to take a look at
I mean, it's going to go, it will go, he will do his thing and it will go through me, and I can make adjustments and say, there's too much markup there, or there's not enough markup there, or we're doing these two things in-house, whatever. I will make the final adjustments, but the work that gets put into estimating, it's pretty substantial because there's no baseline for estimating in construction. It really, really, really boils down to circumstance. Who reached out? Do you have a relationship with them? If you do, you kind of have to use numbers you've used before. They have certain expectations and standards based on work you've done with them before. And obviously repeat clients, they are going to get a better deal. You have to remember where you came from. I have a lot of clients that I just talked to one yesterday, this guy named Carl. Love him, great guy. I don't remember when our first job was. It was maybe 8 years ago, something like that. he took a chance on me. I was working in Escondido on a little nail salon or something, tiny little job, little one-off. And him and his partner were there building a club Pilates, and they were like, hey, do you want to bid this thing? And I won't go into the details there, but they got an insane deal from me. I was so excited to get like a franchise. I did a really good job. They loved me and said, hey, we got another one coming up somewhere in San Diego. Do you want to do it? I'm like, definitely. So I gave them the same deal again. So taking care of those guys, jumping in, giving them a good deal. They took a shot on me, and I gave them exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
They introduced me to Exponential Fitness, and you know what happened from there.
Yeah.
That guy called me the other day, or yesterday, and in one of his Rumble studios isn't doing good because the landlord, the property was bought out by somebody else. I don't know if they do performas, but for lack of a better word, their performa went to shit because
not working out.
Yeah, it's too expensive. The build out was too expensive. The property was already like right on the brink. This was pre-COVID too. So long story short, he's like, we're straight up just, underwater on that one. And I need a favor. I won't say what all of it was, but I told him on the phone, I said, Carl, I'm not going to forget where I came from.
Yeah.
You and Fernando gave me a shot and plugged me into this network that turned into basically everything that I am and have now. And I said, whatever you need me to do for that, just consider it done. You don't need to give me any of the details.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I'm going to do it. And he was like, man,
that's awesome.
So you have to remember where you came from. Full circle, getting back to how this estimating thing is unique to who you are, who's hiring you, where you're working, because it's not just you can look at a database and say it should cost $96 a square foot to build a block.
Yeah.
However, who are your subcontractors? What is my overhead? What is the other guy's overhead? And then it ultimately comes down to what that person is willing to pay me for this thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if somebody says it should be $96 a square foot. What matters is this guy is saying, well, I only have 87. So, and then you have to decide what are the other benefits to it? Does this guy come with other connections, other franchise groups? Has he done you a favor before? There's just all these little nuances. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2.
Well, for you, like we've discussed, you can't just run an Instagram ad and get a lead. And so every opportunity you get isn't, I mean, for any business, but especially yours, is not just the opportunity itself, but it's marketing in itself. And there's a whole web of opportunities behind that, just like you said. I had a question about the estimating, though. I know you just said we can't literally just have such a linear view on it. You can't just have all the stuff in spreadsheets and be able to predict the pricing and everything. However, bringing an estimator in, they're probably going to kind of gamify it a little more than you do.
100%.
And have an actual system behind this and like much more of a structure. Do you think one of the things they could do with subcontractors, like this is a little different because there's like travel involved and the willingness and all that stuff, but maybe even just for materials, your materials costs change so often, but I know you could definitely have a pulse on it, like a loose thumb on it. Do you think one of the things they could do is do a quarterly call or a monthly call and just keep tabs on like your most commonly used materials, like drywall or framing, and then have that kind of stuff systemized or stored so that their job could be that much faster, because they could kind of roughly plug that stuff into a quick spreadsheet and have a formula there,
So definitely on materials and supplies, we get letters from vendors, manufacturers all the time who get letters from China or Canada or whoever. They're like, hey, aluminum's going up or steel's going up. So we have an idea of what that's going to be. And a lot of that stuff, it doesn't move the needle that much. It depends how big the job is. However, what an estimator can do that I don't have the time to do would be, for one, even though I just said, there's no national database for how much things should cost. There's averages. What they can do that I don't have time to do would be, they could say, I did the takeoff. I know what the materials will cost. I know how much time it should take. I know what skill level of employee or whatever will cost to do the work. So they can say this should cost somewhere around $350,000. Then go into okay, let's look for subcontractors. And there's subcontractors that are going to be wildly different, right? So you can filter them out and go, you're out of your mind, you're wrong, you don't know what you're doing. You're in the ballpark. Maybe this person is worth calling and saying, hey, we do a lot of work. We want you to start, working with us on jobs. And rather than me getting bids from other people and saying, okay, that's how I'm going to put together my bid, they could go, we have 50 grand in this one for framing and drywall, and find the guy that can do it at 50 or less, and maybe we go, we have 50 in it, but we're going to charge 52. Maybe we can find someone for 47. You can work backwards. So they can put the time in to call and negotiate and meet people. They may also have a sub network. They may also have systems I'm not even thinking of. I don't have the time to do all that. I'm always in a rush, and I'm always using the information that I have based on jobs I have won and lost.
The entire time you're just building off of
what I've had. But the problem is I'm not just an estimator. I'm like the sales guy, the estimator, the general manager, the finance guy, the bookkeeper, just everything.
It'll probably feel really good to have all your bids on time as well. Or before deadlines. And I think people will take notice that having quality bids and timely bids, I know is a very big thing.
Every nuance in there, every detail written down. There's so many benefits to this position being filled, and this one I'm not going to rush. It's wild though. I was assuming this role would be the hardest to fill, so I spent a lot of time writing up an exact job description for this role, and I sent it out to 3 different, what are they called? Hiring agencies? I forget what they're called.
Like recruiters.
Recruiters, yep. I put it on LinkedIn. I put it on our
Indeed,
Facebook.
all that stuff.
Yeah, Indeed. All of that. I've got like 20 applications right now.
That's good.
Like, boom, really fast.
Are you going to have this person in office, or would they work remote right now?
I want them in office, and then if after I gauge their work ethic and culture fit and all that, I have zero problem with somebody saying, hey, I got like a killer setup at home. I'm working from home. And I'm going to make it salary. I'm not doing hourly. I don't want to track hours. I want it to be salary. And then I made a bonus structure for like 4 different categories. Speed, accuracy, win rate, all this.
That'll work great too, because that one's very measurable.
It is.
Literally tell if they win it or not. So.
I could care less if they only spent 30 minutes on it. If we're winning them and they're at the right price. The other benefit to having an estimator is they will be able to tell you where like the bottom line is, right? So if they came to me and all I had to do was decide what the markup should be or could be, we're in good shape. Because if he goes, hey, this is an Image Studios.
Well, this guy can do more than just estimate them too, because once your job's done, if you're comfortable, which I imagine hopefully you would be, you share your costs of everything. He can go back and constantly be adjusting, and then also come to you and be like, dude, you blew your budget on travel, or like just going out there this many times completely ruined it, or we're off on this, and
I'll have more information, which will dial it in for future bids. Because right now, I mean, I'll send bids sometimes where I'm like, I don't know what the bottom dollar was. The example I was going to use is, let's say it's an Image Studios, and he may say, this could be anywhere from 1.1 million to 1.3 million. That's a reasonable range. But the job will actually cost $987,000. That's what it costs. So you cannot go below that, or you're paying to work, but you are working for free at $987,000. If you do 1.1, there's 8-9% markup, and if you guys go a little bit slow and you go over your hours, you're going to lose at this point. So whatever, having all that information, it'll help in the bid review calls and basically your sales pitch. To have more confidence when someone goes, hey, I only have X amount of dollars, can you do it? It's hard to wrap your head around saying no to a $1 million job. But if you go, listen, at $1 million, there is 0 cents to be made. It's a lot easier to have those conversations and go, listen, I'm not the guy for you. Maybe the other guy can do it for less, and maybe they can, but we can't. So it's easier to walk away and speed those conversations up. And that, I don't have that on certain jobs right now.
You will. So you had 8 problems. I do this with my coach. I like to discuss it and then act like it's already been accomplished. So now looking forward, you have an estimator, you have an entire project management system. So your problems of estimating, lack of delegation, closeout packages, accountability with the team, and I'm also going to say document control are all done and finished, because for document control, I think that's something that you could organize in less than a weekend. And I think it's just getting serious with your Dropbox or Google Drive.
Yeah.
And just your processes there, which Asana can also help, because you can also literally have a project that's ongoing called document control. One of the great things you could do in there is tasks are reoccurring. So you don't have to make a task every time.
Yeah.
We have stuff we do on a weekly basis. So it just pops up in their day-to-day.
Yeah.
Every Friday or every Monday, where they go check. And that can also help with quality control. One of the tasks you can have for your guys, it's super simple. You could literally have a Friday task or whatever, sweep up the job.
Yeah.
It's that simple. So now your only challenges are your time, which is going to be much easier to track and measure with that project management stuff, finances, and sales system and client nurture, which I want to help you with the client nurture real quick. The other ones I think are a little more difficult. And then I know you got a whole bunch of stuff in there.
No, this is going to piggyback off what you're saying, but I had my rough actual 7-month business plan in here.
Well, that's good. So your client nurture is super simple too. And I think we can help you out with this, because we're actually building this right now at Fifth Element. This is going to sound so simple to some of the people in the audience, but we're a marketing company for 5 years and are just now building this out for ourselves, which is insane. It's crazy what I think people are going to notice, how far you can get off pure just drive and
so
not organization.
Pause before you go into that,
crazy.
because I was going to bring this up earlier. The difference between you and I, and this is funny, I don't even know how long I've been doing this right now, but I've never documented anything. I've never used any software.
Yeah, you have to.
I've had no system, no manual, nothing until February 2025. Everything has been gut instinct and reaction.
Yep.
Which is fine. That's what got me here.
If you want to stay at the same level that you are right now, it's fine. But
exactly. This is not scalable. It's not repeatable.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell people. I didn't know what I needed to hire. I didn't know why things were stressful. And it's wild that I've gotten this far with everything just being in my head and being and you are the polar opposite. You started with systems.
Yeah.
You started with structure. So anyway, continue.
Yeah. I didn't start with them out of the gate, but I recognized them much earlier, and I saw how easier it would be. And it's crazy because I'm still behind on them too. But yeah, they're important. Everything, even in your personal life, the way you eat, all those things boil down to your systems and processes. And that's what Atomic Habits talks about. Yeah, you'll have I'm in a phase of no clarity. And over this year and over the past few weeks, I've been like getting it back, because we're slowly doing things. And now my team's in the office, and it's like, I can I'm starting to see through the fog, and it's really great.
Yeah.
Client nurture, way easier than you think. Way easier. Hear me out on this. You just got a CRM. There's things you can pre-build in there that are fully automated that aren't linked. So one of your worries is probably like, everything needs to be personalized. It isn't a plus B kind of thing, depending on how, maybe this job is a little rough. Well, you don't want to just send them an email and be like, wow, what a great experience working with you.
Yeah.
You want to be very personal,
Yeah.
All those things can be built in to automated pipelines. There's all kinds of if this, then that kind of stuff you could do in these CRMs. And
like in HubSpot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
I've barely scratched the surface of that just yet.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother conversation, because you could talk about that for hours. We're doing it right now, so we're getting the experience. But at the most basic, simple level, we have what we're building. They're called pipelines. So you don't just have one pipeline for KingStud where it's like new client, then they move to this phase. You could have 100 pipelines, depending on, you could have a pipeline just for Image Studios clients. You could have a pipeline, and all a pipeline is stages.
Yeah.
So it's like columns on a sheet. It's like they move from new client to this to this. You could manually move them. There's automations that could move them depending on phases of the build out. And anyway, what I'm getting at is depending on what phase they're in, and your one customer could be in 100 different pipelines for different things. They go through an automated email journey or just an automated reminder for you and your team. And email journeys aren't like a linear, like they get this email on this date, this email on this date. Also doesn't have to be an email. It could be a handwritten card and just a reminder or send merch. But that the current customer nurturing and then future client nurturing through your sales can be 100% automated, because these journeys, so to speak, are like a massive flow chart with the arrows can point you in a million different directions. There's a whole tree of possibilities, but that could be 100% automated for you. And I guarantee you, if you actually if you learned how to use HubSpot, we put our heads together, you could do this in under a week, not 40 hours, like just in the evenings. And then everything's fixed. Now your one thing that you're doing constantly is looking for new opportunities and making new connections. And you can be confident that the second you meet someone, whether they scan a QR code or you just have an organic conversation in person, they give you their email or text or phone number, you put them into you literally throw them in one hopper, and they could go 1,000 different ways depending on feedback and all kinds of stuff. You never even have to worry. They could automatically get KingStud brand. We found a company that does this too. We're setting it up for our new Scramblers golf franchise. It's called swag.com. I'm sure there's other ones too. Their merchandise connects to your CRMs. And depending on what stage they're at or all these things, you could automatically trigger. Yeah, you don't even know. It sends them whatever you want. A KingStud hat, KingStud cup, lanyard, handwritten letter. You don't have to store any inventory. You pay as you go.
Dang.
You should look into that. Obviously, shout out May Innovations. These aren't going to be on there. It's going to be a little different. But you should definitely check that out because it can send them automated stuff.
That's awesome.
But yeah, now your last challenge, assuming you get over these hurdles, and I think you will pretty soon here, because I think they're much simpler than you think.
They are. And this is something wild about the coaching and consulting is
they boil it down.
It's so obvious. When you hear them give you some information, a one-liner or a two-liner, it's like, wow, why didn't I think of that?
So what you just said, I just did this entire topic with my coach, and I was going to save it for the next episode, because that in itself is a huge thing, and he kind of taught me how to do that, and like how to put your finger on why successful people are able to do that.
You know what I started doing? And it's kind of working. Instead of ruminating and being stressed out on these problems, I go, what would I tell you or someone else if they asked me and they broke it down and explained it to me? You go, hey, pal, step back a little bit. You need this and you need that. And that's going to free up this so you can do more of that. And then once you have more of that, you can do more of that.
Do you know what Alex Hormozy does?
I do not.
He says he has a Word doc. It's offline. No one has access to it. It's just a offline Word doc. He writes down his problems, challenges, etc., in a conversation as if he's talking to someone, hits enter, takes 1 second, and then answers them as if he was a different person. And he says he's been doing that for years, and that alone has fixed so many problems, because he says people probably think he's a psychopath, but he sits there and talks to himself, and he figures out, oh, I should probably do this, and then he takes action.
Yeah, well, you're so close to problems, it's hard to step out of it. It's when you're in your own problems, and these are all good problems, by the way.
That's why the coaching's so valuable.
Yeah, I mean, when Tom, I literally have this in red here. When Tom was like, "Hey, man, you just need to think about, can I do it versus should I do it? If the answer is yes to both, which they're completely different, doesn't matter what the category is. Okay, then you should do it.
Yeah.
And is it scalable versus is it holding you back? They ask simple things like, "What's eating up most of your time?" And you're like, the heck? I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
Time? Yep, what's time? And it's so simple. Most of it's so simple. And you have to think about it as if it's someone else and you're giving them advice. For whatever reason, that works. Another huge one that I'm really going to stick to right now is you have to just do the one thing at once.
Yeah, you can't, the multitasking.
So I got HubSpot. I got Procore. It was $19,000 and we're using it like 1% of the time right now. And that's bugging me. And now that I go, okay, you need clarity. You need to determine the sequencing of how to solve these problems and only do the one thing. And until the one thing is done, you can move on to the next. That removed the stress. It's like you already made the dumb decision of buying Procore when you weren't ready to use it. You already spent the $19,000. It is what it is.
Yep.
I need an estimator. Once I have the estimator, I have 50% more time.
Then you can get back into it.
Then I can do these other things. And I'm going to go one software at a time, one problem at a time, one person at a time. And ultimately, I have 7 months from right now to fix all of the defense. So doing the consulting was, I want to scale. Okay. Well, how am I going to do that? How I'm going to do that is I'm going to catch up the admin, the office, the documents, the software, the defense to not where I'm at, but where I'm going.
Yeah.
So by the end of this year, and I think this will all be achieved well before the end of the year. But if I get this all done, now 2026 is, and I'll have them for 2 or 3 more months into 2026. I will shift solely to offense. Give me more, bring me more. And the whole time we're doing everything, Kate knows, I know, the office knows, we are documenting everything because we're creating a playbook right now. We're going to take the whole thing once it works and it starts scaling. And this will be Arizona, Washington, Texas, wherever we want to go, and say, you need to hire this person. Here's how you hire them. Here's what to look for. Here's the systems you need. And these are the qualifications for the people and the stuff and the things. And I'm just going to stamp KingStud everywhere I want to go and talk to all these franchise groups that currently still love me and say, turn the faucet on over there because we're coming. That's $100 million idea.
It's exciting. It's thrilling. And
correction, plan. It's not an idea. It's a plan.
You should, put it everywhere. Put it on your walls in the office. I'm going to be loud about it. That's another huge
thing. They're like, you need to share. You have to share too. They're like, do you tell your team these things? Do you talk to your team about your vision and your mission and your plans? And I'm like, no, not really. I'm delegating it, but they're like, no. You need buy-in. You need everybody to understand where you're going. You need them to understand what they could gain out of this. Get everybody on board, and if they're not, weed them out.
Man, this is exactly what I talked to my coach yesterday, which I feel like I want to save it for the next episode. But I do that too. It's all in your head, and it's like what they called that like post-convention hype or whatever it is. The high, and you come off, and then you come back in the office, and it's like, why is it so hard to articulate that down to the team? That's exactly what I talked about.
It's weird. I get on that high every night. I get
same. It's always when you can't. It's always for me when you can't do the work. It's when I'm in the shower. It's when I'm driving, or it's really late at night when I'm going to bed. And then I'm like, why do I have all the clarity and the ideas now?
So I've figured out the rhythm to my my moods and my grandiose thoughts and all that. I know I have a morning mood, I have a midday mood, and then I have a really ambitious, it's like positive, encouraging attitude when everybody goes to bed. And I have systems now. I use ChatGPT on audio and I just ramble into it and say, hey, boil this down. What am I saying?
That's a big one.
All right, now let's create some actionable steps. And then I keep adding and adding and adding. So I take all of those notes, and now that's how I'm determining what I'm going to process with the coaching. And then I go, hey, also tell me if I'm doing this out of sequence. Tell me if this is too much. Because sometimes I've gone to them and it will be like, I'm assuming these questions will take too long to process, so I'll only do 3 or 4. And then it's like rapid, 5 minutes in. I'm like, shit. Okay, I wish I would have brought more to the table. Other times I bring too many and they're like, that's like a 12-hour conversation. Let's boil it down to this one because this is where you should be first. And then other times they're like, scrap everything you just said. You need to get your house in order this way before you do that. So just document everything. And I feel like I have enough information from them 4 months into it to keep me busy for 10 years. But like we talked about last time, my goal isn't to catch up to where I would have been had I had coaching, consulting, and reading books from 10 years ago. My goal is to do that and catch up to where I would have been had I done all that. I don't even know if I said that right.
No, I understand what you're saying. You're just catching up and preparing for the future rather than just
to the moon, no exceptions. I'm risking it all. That was one of the little phrases I had here on my little breakdown for what I wanted to talk about here today, which I don't know how much. I think we hit a lot of it, but
how much do you have left on there? Because I could segue super hard right now. You just got me amped on.
You
on
probably
the other
could segue, but let's see. So I had the business plan, which I didn't really get into. I guess we kind of got into it. My main bottlenecks, which I could go in depth on those, but these are almost most. They could be their own episodes because there's so much nuance and detail to each one. But I did kind of want to touch on like the risk it all section, and I don't want to keep reading and looking like a jagaloon, but one thing I've grown accustomed to and I've never lost, which is great, is risking it. Where was it? Let me see. We'll just riff on that. So
should we
segue out?
Should we go into the next one?
Yeah, why don't we get on something funny really quick here? I wanted to... Damn it.
I got something for the beginning of the next one.
Why don't you... Let's see.
But it can't be.
We're still figuring this out, folks. I had like a layout.
I think that was really great. I actually came with so it's not done at all. I'll probably do the next one, but I did take what we talked about last time, and I did a rough business plan as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
What is this segment? I wanted to do a segment about... Oh, yeah, this is good.
I got a funny one.
I wrote, you can't grow if you're cozy. That's a good one. well, no, real quick here. What I meant by that was...
Well, you have to be...
When you have no money...
Yeah.
In the very beginning of something, you are gung-ho.
Yep.
And let's say you make $15,000 a year and you live with your parents and you come up with an idea. Let's take me, for example. The first thing was like, I'm going to be a handyman and a painter. And you start getting a little bit of money. I remember the first time I had $5,000 cash.
Yeah.
I have pictures of it. I was so excited.
Yep.
I laid it out on my floor, like all these different ways, took pictures. And I didn't share it. It was just like, for me, I was blown away. I had $5,000 at the same time. It was there. I held it. And I immediately had this urge to like, you can't let this go. So the minute
it's the new zero.
When you don't have money, you're like, man, if I had $1,000, I'd buy that thing or I'd go here and we'd have a good weekend. Yeah. The minute I had it, I was like, ooh, we're not doing any of those things. I want to keep that, baby.
I remember.
That's dangerous, though.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why. That's getting cozy.
Yep.
Now, keep going and say 10 grand, huge, 20 grand, whatever. If you just hoard that and you get like, it's okay to say, no, we're not going out. I'm not buying shoes. We're not going to the casino. We're not going out to dinner. I want to save this. That's great. But if you're not willing to say, if I took that whole $5,000 and bought these tools, I could do this many more jobs. And then if you keep going and go, I could hire that one guy, or I could get that office, or I could get the work truck. If you have to be comfortable with doubling down and risking the shit out of all of that. And I'm still doing that to this day. That is the only way to keep going. But if you start making $100,000 a year, that is great. You can live a good life on that. But you start getting cozy and you hoard it and go, I'm safe. I'm safe right here. I don't want to screw this up. I am constantly going, put it all on black.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I'm in a real uncomfortable phase right now as well. Just because, we've talked about it privately. And I keep going to hesitate for a couple days and then I go, nope, I'm in. Getting the office, I think, was a pretty scary time to do that. And what I'm doing in the office. And
especially those reoccurring. It's like, it's one thing to go.
I keep stacking.
I'm going to buy $100,000 work truck because it's needed and we'll make money with it. And if you had the money to just buy it and then you have it, it's another thing to take on payments, more overhead, more payroll, because it's reoccurring.
And I feel comfortable doing it because I always, in my head, I go, well, you could fire them or take their hours down. We're about to bring another person on board in preparation for what we're planning on doing here with these brands. But yeah, I remember the first time I made $2,000 and I got to see that in my account. And I was like, holy shit. And then from 2000, it was $5,000. And I remember thinking, holy crap, what is it going to be like when you make $5,000 a month? That's going to be nuts. And then all the way up, it took, I don't know, over the 2 or 3 years, from going from 2 to what if I had 5 in my account? What if I had 10? And then I said, what if I had 100? And I remember the first time I hit 100,000, I had 100 grand in my checking, and I screenshotted it.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, that was so cool. And then it was my first $100,000 month was like, whew, and it was a really cool feeling. And what's crazy is your brain just resets and you're just frustrated again. But I think that's the superpower because you keep on rolling.
You keep on going. Yep.
But man, I think that was really great. Should we?
Yeah, I got one funny thing.
I have a funny too.
We really need to be able to put stuff on the screen. It's kind of bumming me out that we can't. But let me play this. And I sent this to you, but I love this guy. I love this guy. This guy, I don't know. I haven't looked at all of his stuff, but he makes fun of those guys.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Is it Rap Name Fogey? Is that guy?
Let's see.
Or is it a new one? Oh, no. I know what it is. I know who you're talking about.
Let me play this. Okay, he's so funny. There's
artificial intelligence.
No?
AI stands for Albanian.
Wait. Let me start over.
It does not stand for
Damn it.
artificial.
I just love Australia.
AI does not stand for artificial intelligence.
No?
AI stands for Albanian infrastructure. See, what I've done is I've changed and manipulated the initialism of AI.
You bent it.
I've redirected the flow of investment from technology to Albania.
Amateurs talk tech. Professionals talk logistics.
Now I'm sitting pretty in Bregu,
The Albanian Riviera.
wetting my whistle on a traditional Albanian white bean soup. Who supplies the beans?
Ooh.
I do. But I don't touch the beans.
No?
I drop ship the beans.
So you transport the beans.
No, I don't touch those beans until they're in my soup.
You're the Bezos of beans.
You're the
I don't know
Bezos
who
of
that
beans.
If you don't know the competition, there's no competition.
No, you don't know that. And in this case, I also don't know that.
There's one more I gotta play. So what's funny is like he's wrapping up like multiple.
He brings in all the funny cat, all the.
I think this is the other one where he's like, "Oh, you don't know that. I know
Yeah,
that."
I've gone through that guy's page. It's hilarious. All of the, just like.
E-commerce is a numbers game.
Yep.
Supply.
Yep. I don't know if this is it, but let's do one more and that's it. These cracked me up.
E-commerce is a numbers game.
Yep.
Supply and demand.
Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations.
So what do? I control the supply.
How?
What do you mean by how?
How do you control the supply?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
How do you control the supply?
Let me answer your question with a question.
Okay.
Cold plunge.
Asking about how you control the supply.
Sauna.
No, not sauna. I'm asking about the supply.
Grass-fed raw milk.
Grass-fed.
Bio-hacking.
Okay.
Saratoga water ice cubes.
Well, that's interesting.
Johnny Walker Blue.
Right.
Johnny Walker
AI
Blue.
infused forest bathing on ketamine.
So health is in fact wealth.
I told you, it's a numbers game.
Smart.
It's so funny.
My funny's not that funny.
That guy's hilarious. I want to find the one where he's like, who's that other younger guy that's like now trying to be this motivational?
There's a million.
Well, whatever. There's a
Watch us
real
turn into those.
where the guy's like, oh, I went to school. No, you didn't go to school. I went to school. So this guy's like, I don't remember what they said, but he's like, oh, I see. I know that. And he's like, no. You don't know that. I know that because I went to school or something like that. It's so funny. Anyway.
My funny's not that funny. I almost just watched an old lady get ran over by an Amazon truck on the way here.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
It actually, dude, it freaked me out.
Why was this? That was your funny category to wrap it up?
Yeah. She was.
Grandma got run over by Amazon.
Amazon. She was. I was in the left-hand turn lane. Go left. She was coming from this way, on her bike.
She's on a bicycle?
She's on a
motorcycle?
Not just a bicycle. She was on a like a cyclist one where your feet are clipped in.
Oh.
Dude, she looked pretty old, and she was like, she got off, and not only was it really hard for her to get off and like hit the brakes, the bike was too big. She couldn't reach the ground to like slow down.
Oh my God.
So she's like coming, and then the Amazon truck goes to turn right, like just hook a right real quick. And it looked like she stopped. So the Amazon truck went, and then she just like started going fast out of nowhere. And then she like tripped and fell off her bike because her foot was clipped and she was trying to get off and the bike's too big. And I was like, it was like almost about to be some Final Destination stuff because I thought her head was going to get popped by the Amazon truck. Anyway, it was right outside your HQ over here. And
that's interesting that is what you had for a wrap up funny
yeah.
story.
Well, I have a fun go in funny for our next one. So
okay,
let's wrap it up. Well, thanks for listening. And
hope you got some value out of it. We're going to get better. We're going to keep getting better and better.
Hold Anthony accountable to these items. If you have his email, reach out to him. But let's definitely make sure we get you set up on those. A lot of this can be controlled with automation and softwares. And
yeah, I'm in. But to be clear, I don't need any more emails. So
all right.
See you on the next one. Later's on the men, Jay.
Let me see if I can wrap us out.
Yeah, get me something good.